to be played in the West. A campsite fight over a dog ends in tragedy and a murder probe. And $1 million Monaro up for grabs.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. Serious shortcomings have been exposed in the battle to contain Victoria's new COVID surge. Testing stations have been overwhelmed and forced to close early, unable to cope with demand from thousands, worried they might have the virus.
The second day of mass testing amid second wave fears. A system that can't handle the demand buckles, leaving thousands with symptoms unable to get help.
I think they do need more staff, and I think it's just a bit more organisation to let people know, because some people will just be sick of it and go.
At Southland and Chadstone, it was a 4-hour wait, a bottleneck at High Point. And at Northland, the queues stretched blocks as drivers were waved past, left circling while a backlog was cleared.
It was bigger than I expected. I really wasn't expecting so many cars.
I waited down the other end and then they told me wrong way, you have to wait go home or go somewhere else.
One mother tried 4 times yesterday to have her son tested and couldn't get in. She tried again today.
I'm exhausted because I don't know if my other son's got it now. I'm going to wait. Not moving.
Another went to Northland, then Epping, desperate to find out if she was a carrier.
They kept telling us to do laps. And eventually I just lost patience.
Also at Epping, tensions boiled over. This man got out of his car furious because he thought another driver jumped the queue. Staff forced to step in. At Craigieburn, cars were turned away to stop traffic jams. And on foot, the line was out the door at the Royal Melbourne Hospital.
I apologise for any delays. It's to a certain extent it will be inevitable that there will be some waiting.
Nobody should have to wait 4 hours to get tested for coronavirus.
In Victoria, a new record of up to 18,000 were tested yesterday. 675,000 tests have now been completed this year.
If we've got to do more drive-through sites, we will.
But by mid-afternoon, many testing stations were closing hours before they should have. At Fountain Gate, it was said to be complete for the day and people were sent to Chadstone. But before long, testing there was suspended and everyone was turned away, with staff waiting around in the car park for hours. At Keilor, the signs came out at 1:30, 2.5 hours before it was scheduled to shut.
Sorry, so we're closed today. Sorry, you have to keep moving.
I've been sitting here by my doctor to get tested and I've been turned away by the people.
Well, we've just come from Northlands and it was crazy over there.
One man turned away despite his young daughter being close to a confirmed case in Gladstone Park.
She was in close contact in a daycare centre. I'm going to drive around and see somewhere else.
You've got Victorians who are trying to do the right thing, trying to protect themselves, their families and their fellow Victorians, and the government's let them down by not making enough testing available.
Today's chaos at Northland has finally cleared. There are about 40 cars waiting and that will take them up until 7 o'clock when they close. The state government says if you have been tested, you must self-isolate at home until you get your results. The delay there could be longer than expected. I'm told that what had been about a 1-day wait for results has, Mitch, blown out to up to 7 days because of this rush.
Paul Dowsley at Northland, thank you. And Blake Johnson is at Chadstone in Melbourne's southeast, which was also swamped. Blake, testing there has just restarted.
It has, Pete. The drive-through facility here has just reopened. If you're in the area and you feel the need to get tested, you have until 7 p.m. to come down here and get it done. This drive-through facility was closed for 4 hours this afternoon. There was such an enormous backlog of traffic that local roads were swamped. Still a bit of confusion though here. Staff tell me they're not sure if they'll be back here tomorrow morning. The state government has repeatedly said even if you have the most mild of symptoms, go and get tested, but it seems to have put an enormous strain on Melbourne's testing facility. No word yet on whether the testing criteria will be changed. There are 35 drive-through test facilities, 94 fixed ones. The full list is on the Health Department website. Health Department officials say if you can't get into one of them, check with your GP. They may be able to do the test for you, Peter.
Blake Johnson at Chadstone, thank you. And Laurel Irving is in Broadmeadows tonight. Laurel, there could still be a hard lockdown in the so-called hotspot suburbs.
Well, Mitch, the Premier has warned that if that's what health authorities say is necessary, then that would happen. We have around 1 million Victorian living in these 6 local government so-called hotspots, and right now they are the focus of the nation as these cases keep rising. We've had more cases in some of these hotspots today, and the Premier has warned that we may see much more extreme measures taken soon. In the coronavirus hotspot of Brimbank, frustration.
I just think people really need to take care of what they're doing and where they're going.
And fear.
There's more and more popping up left, right and centre. It's like, are we going to go back to not being able to leave the house?
Are you worried?
A little bit, yes, definitely.
In Moreland, being declared a hotspot is already hurting business.
The car park's half of what it was this time last week.
So people are scared, you think?
Yes, oh, definitely. Definitely.
Don't steer away from Moreland. Don't be fearful.
But that's exactly what New South Wales is telling its residents to do with this extraordinary social media campaign. And their Premier has made it clear she certainly doesn't want anyone from a hotspot to travel there.
I call on all organisations not to interact with citizens from Melbourne at this stage, have activity elsewhere.
For the 7th day in a row, Victoria's cases are in the double digits. Of the 17 today, 2 are linked to the Keilor Downs family outbreak, 1 is a returned traveller, and 11 are still under investigation.
So what we can be certain of is that there will be some significant community transmission within those numbers.
Today, 2 more schools in hotspots have been closed because of positive cases. Brunswick East Primary in Moreland and Keilor View Primary in Brimbank. One of the new cases was a worker at the Coles Distribution Centre in Laverton. But locals say singling out regions is unfair.
It's not as bad as everybody's making out, not doing anything different to anywhere else.
It's clear, though, not everyone is doing the right thing. In 174 police checks yesterday, 13 supposed to be in isolation weren't home. 1 has been fined, the others are under investigation. More people are being dobbed in for doing the wrong thing. Calls to police yesterday jumped from 80 to 400. And a new hardline approach. Officers no longer need a supervisor's approval. They can issue fines on the spot.
If you blatantly, deliberately, obviously breaching those rules, you will get fined.
From tomorrow, a door-to-door blitz.
There is literally an army of people going out door knocking. There will be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people from our expanded public health team out there door knocking in hotspot suburbs.
It's fair enough. People have been stupid and they've been out.
Laurel Irving, 7 News.
In AFL news, a second Essendon player is in quarantine tonight, forced to isolate after being in close contact with Connor McKenna. The Bombers say they're lucky more players weren't caught up in the COVID scare, with Saturday night's game against Carlton officially given the green light to go ahead.
One man caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. James Stewart tackling Connor McKenna, along with wrestling a close contact breach.
Through no fault of his own, finds himself in a position that now he's going to go into quarantine.
After fears the entire backline could be wiped out, only 2, McKenna and fringe player Stewart, will quarantine for 14 days. It's game on, Essendon versus Carlton on Saturday.
It's somewhat of a relief, but still a little bit bittersweet as well. There was probably an element of luck for us in the sense that we had a contact session, but the protocols had been delivered in a pretty firm sort of way. They're robust.
Health authorities offering some hope the AFL can navigate its way through this.
A single tackle, a single touch point of contact is not a high risk of transmission from a player to another player.
Melbourne trained in its line groups today, its midfield stars together as clubs grapple with minimising risk.
You've got to go through a process of a risk assessment as to, will you put all your boys in the one line who are playing AFL in the same group. Credit to the AFL and working with their health officers, and the competition's still going, and that's brilliant.
And another twist in this story, McKenna's latest test has come back negative. He's been tested 4 times in recent days. He had a positive test on the weekend. A whole variety of results. He is expected to still stay in quarantine. The suggestion tonight is he was in the final stages of COVID at the weekend, Mitch.
Mark Stevens at AFL House, thank you. A Gippsland campsite is the focus of a murder investigation after a fight over a dog led to a man's death 2 days later. The father was badly injured in the brawl but refused medical help.
A remote Gippsland campsite, now a crime scene. David Crouch wanted to spend a few days in his caravan after a relationship split. Now the father of two is dead.
We're just so shocked and I feel so bad for them having to grow up now without a father.
Mr Crouch became mates with another camper.
They're drinking during the night, Friday night, and then it appears that there's an altercation that takes place between our victim and a group of other campers within the campground.
The fight may have been over the Springvale man's dog. The 49-year-old was badly bashed. The other campers took him to the pub to get ice to ease his pain.
The staff at the New G Hotel are so concerned about the injuries that he's received that they try to seek medical attention for him, which he refuses.
Nearly 2 days after the attack, Mr Crouch became critically ill. He died in an ambulance. His best friend still in shock.
I've known David for many, many years. It's devastating news that this has happened to him. He was what you would call the clown jester of the club. He was always having a joke, mucking around.
The site was packed with up to 25 campers over the weekend. Police say there would be a number of witnesses and even photographs that could help piece together who was involved in the fatal attack.
Those photos will have regos, descriptions of vehicles, people and the like to help us piece together exactly what's happened.
Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
The federal opposition says we need a royal commission into the failed robo-debt scheme, which made people on welfare repay so-called overpayments. It's claimed pressure from the botched campaign drove some to suicide.
22-year-old Jared Madgwick lost his girlfriend, lost his job, then just hours after being told he owed Centrelink $2,000, he lost his life.
He hung himself out of a tree. I found him 2 days later.
A year on, his mother, Kathleen, is struggling.
It's still hard. It's still hard on me every day. I still cry every day. So
supporting calls for a royal commission into the robo-debt scandal.
They need to be held accountable and we need the truth behind all this scheme.
Whose idea was it? Who set up the structures? What checks and balances were in place?
Knowing it was Scott Morrison who set it up as Social Services Minister.
We're aware of what the issue is and we're fixing the problem and we're getting the payments made and we're working through that process now.
Rejecting calls for a royal commission.
We have no plans for one of those, no.
Pointing out that Labor voted against the Greens motion in the Senate last Tuesday to set one up. Why?
Because we wrote to the government.
Giving it until last Friday to voluntarily announce a commission.
They've refused to do so.
And 7 News has learnt Cabinet's Expenditure Review Committee is running a final ruler over the long-awaited rescue package for the arts sector, now due for release later this week. Senior sources say it will be generous. Mark Riley, 7 News.
It's been revealed British police intercepted a terror suspect just hours before a stabbing attack in Reading that left 3 friends dead. A specialist mental health team dispatched by officers found Kari Sadala on a street. It's believed they dropped him home and soon after they'd heard he'd been arrested. Sadala's family in Libya claims he isn't an extremist, just a troubled man.
I never feel worried about what he's going to do to other people. I always felt worried about what he's going to do to himself.
The 25-year-old is behind bars awaiting charges. 3 women are now suing former High Court Judge Dyson Heydon, demanding compensation for sexual harassment. They say they had to abandon promising careers after being caught up in what their lawyer calls the profession's dirtiest secret.
He is accustomed to the title Your Honour.
I've got no comment.
One that no longer sits comfortably on an accused serial groper.
They were young women in their first job in the legal profession. To their horror, they were sexually harassed by a judge of the High Court.
Chelsea Tabert is one of 6 former associates who say their careers were derailed. An inquiry upheld their complaints. Now they intend to sue.
My clients will be pursuing compensation, both from the Commonwealth and from Dyson Heydon.
Another accuser is senior Canberra lawyer Noor Bloomer. Dumbfounded, she says, when the judge's hands became very busy under the table, on my lap, feeling up the side of my leg at a 2013 law function.
Allegations of this sort are obviously very disturbing and very concerning.
To work as an associate for a High Court judge requires a brilliant intellect, an extraordinary work ethic, and is indicative of a big future. It was an achievement for these young women just to be there, and the fact half of them were forced out of the profession altogether will form the basis of their lawsuit. Female lawyers say such harassment is common.
It touches all aspects of the profession. It's not surprising from that aspect that it goes to the very highest.
His conduct was the legal profession's dirtiest secret.
Mr Hayden denies all allegations. He can afford good lawyers himself. His taxpayer-funded pension is in excess of $350,000 a year. Robert Avadia, 7 News.
A 51-year-old Holden is set to sell for an eye-watering price. The HT Monaro is going up for auction this weekend and is expected to break records by fetching more than $1 million.
With a carload full of history comes a truckload of money. This 1969 Holden HT Monaro is expected to fetch $1 million at auction.
This one really is the best, and probably the best we're ever going to have.
The HT Monaro is the first factory-built race car to show off the Holden badge. It cemented Holden's dominance in the 60s and 70s and sparked a rivalry with Ford.
To drive them as fast as what was required in a race took a fair amount of gumption, shall we say?
This car was the first made by motorsport legend Harry Firth and debuted at Sandown in 1969. Its brakes failed and it crashed 45 minutes in. The changes led Holden to their first Bathurst victory.
Brock and his team have watched the opposition falter and fail. The win is a crushing one.
The whole thing was hand-built, if you know, after the factory. The whole car was hand-built after that.
The car will be auctioned this Saturday. Tom Chadwick, 7 News.
Tim Watson joins us now with a preview of sport. And Tim, there's more intrigue about Conor McKenna's COVID-19 test.
That's right, Mitch, there is. The story is developing as we go to air tonight. We'll have more shortly. Plus, rusty or refreshed? How will the D's handle being caught up in Essendon's Corona curveball as Toby and some big-name giants get the green light to tackle the Pies? Also, Dusty returns to the track, but which star saint will test out his rib this Saturday?
I'll stay away from him. I don't want to get a don't argue.
Tim Payne's parting words to Aussie cricket's sacked CEO and find out why Novak Djokovic is public enemy #1. Mitch, all that and more coming up in sport.
OK, Tim, thanks very much. Melbourne's been hit with another jobs blow. Next, hundreds left without work as Woolies shuts a distribution centre. Details are coming up. Also, the lolly favourites forced to change their names. A notorious police killer's bid for freedom and an uber close call for a delivery driver.
Seven News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
I suddenly realized we're all in this together.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
Peter Falconio was shot by a gunman who attempted to abduct his girlfriend Joanne Lees.
They found the killer.
He was the murderer.
Or did they? The murder you thought was solved.
34 inconsistencies.
It's what you don't know that will shock the world.
No one doubts me. I couldn't believe this had never seen the light of day.
The event that will make world headlines.
We are going to be very unpopular.
Murder in the Outback this July on 7.
Let's talk about health insurance and how you could be paying for things you don't need. Comparing might even save you money. Okay, I'll do it for you. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13, 19, 20.
Coming up next, energy prices. No!
Since 1880, the Salvos have been proud to stand with anyone doing it tough. Now, more than ever, please help us leave no one in need. If you're able, please give to the Red Shield Appeal at salvationarmy.org.au.
Garnier Fructis Hair Food to nourish hungry hair. 98% natural, no parabens, with 3 ways to enjoy. As a conditioner, mask or leave-in. Fructis Hair Food by Garnier. Naturally. Hungry for more? Aloe Vera Hair Food available now.
4 out of 5 people who are blind don't need to be. A simple $25 surgery can restore sight. Please donate today to help carry on Fred's vision.
Every eye is an eye.
Bob Jane T-Mart's big brands, bigger deals. Save 25% on Bridgestone passenger and SUV tyres. 25% off all J-Trax 4x4 SUV and Nitto 4x4 tyres.
Discover new details about your family history with Ancestry. Simply type in a name and let Ancestry guide you on a journey of discovery. Start searching for free at ancestry.com.au.
Let's compare health insurance. You might even save some money. Okay, I'll do it. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Hundreds of Melbourne Woolworths workers are set to lose their jobs. They'll be replaced by an automated distribution centre in Sydney, just as the grocery giant is again in the spotlight for underpaying staff.
At the unveiling of a new site, old jobs axed.
People were upset because obviously it came as a shock to them.
Almost 300 Woolworths workers at its Mulgrave distribution centre will be sacked by 2025. 1,000 jobs also gone in New South Wales.
If you have a second job, then it's fine. If not, then...
They've spent months dealing with unprecedented demand, but traditional sites will be replaced over the next 5 years with a new automated facility in Western Sydney. Woolworths is pledging to try to find new jobs for sacked staff, but there's a catch. They could have to move to Sydney.
We will look to redeploy those people within supply chain, within the group, as best as possible.
That's not good enough. Over the pandemic and during the panic buying, they put in the extra yards. They shouldn't be thrown on the scrap heap now.
As some lose jobs, others underpaid. Woolworths' wage scandal has reached $390 million.
We plan to have more than 2/3 of it paid by the end of July. It will take us realistically till mid next year.
And there's still 5 years of underpayments still to be processed and still to be paid.
Louisa Cheatley, 7 News.
Nestlé is the latest corporation forced into a name change, announcing it will rebrand Allen's Redskins and Chico's because they're considered culturally insensitive. The company says both brands of lollies are out of step with its values and they're changing the names to avoid marginalising customers. A notorious police killer serving a life sentence is tonight a step closer to freedom. He wants to be acquitted over the murder of 2 officers after it was revealed key evidence was manipulated.
The families of Sergeant Gary Silk and Senior Constable Rodney Miller have carried the deaths of their loved ones for 20 years.
Look, it's never easy listening to how Rod and Gary lost their lives.
But they have no choice because Jason Roberts wants to be free. In appealing his life sentence, his lawyer said Roberts had no part in the 1998 murders. The trial process was deliberately corrupted, including the fabrication of evidence. That's because a police officer reported Rodney Miller's dying words implied there were 2 offenders, but it was later revealed that statement had been falsified. Roberts' lawyer argued strongly for an acquittal rather than a retrial. When asked why, he told the judges the miscarriage of justice was so great, the court had to set an example and grant Roberts his freedom. Prosecutors remain confident there is enough evidence to keep Roberts behind bars.
We've tried really hard to remain, loyal and conscious of the court's position, so Let's wait till we get the decision we want to hear.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
A food delivery rider has been struck by a car at a Sydney roundabout. He was knocked from his motorbike late yesterday. Other drivers stopped to check on the rider, who was lucky to escape serious injury. Jane Bunn joins us now. And Jane, some parts of Melbourne had a lot of fog this morning.
Which they did indeed. Several eastern suburbs looked like this for the first few hours of the day, then had grey sky for much of the rest of it. Now, it wasn't just the usual suspects in the northeast. This looks across the Mornington Peninsula towards the peak over there at Arthur's Seat. Underneath that, this is what it was like driving on the Mornington Peninsula Freeway around Mornington today. Now, the city didn't see any of that. It was a bit cloudy at times, and at others we had bright sunshine, and a top of 14 felt quite nice when that sun was out. We've had isolated showers over eastern suburbs. It's really not much, but what that's doing is keeping the air moist. Fog returned to areas like Kinglake late this afternoon, and that early return means we could see fog across much of Melbourne by the morning. I'll have more after sport, Mitch.
Thanks, Jane. See you then. Live coverage coming up as the City of Melbourne prepares to take a stand. It's set for a fight over the heroin injecting centre next door to the Queen Victoria Market. Details are coming up. Also, Qantas ready for takeoff again, what it means for Victoria. See how drivers stood up against racism in an extraordinary moment in sporting history. And take a listen to your footy theme song as you've never heard it before.
The Rebellion.
Are you kidding me?
Big Brother does not joke.
Big Brother! I just don't think it's fair. And I'm challenging it.
Big Brother's ruling is final, Sophie.
In a move that will shake the house, the girls will unite
I mean, come on. No. It doesn't make sense.
to take on Big Brother
We've got to make some big changes in the house.
and bring the boys down.
To try and make a move against them, I would be just stupid.
I'm going to take them down.
Brand new Big Brother, tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Evening guys, Michael Weldon here, back with another Coles What's for Dinner recipe for you to cook at home. And tonight it is my mashed potato topped salmon and pea pie. The first thing we need to do is mash some potatoes. So I've boiled these potatoes for about 15 minutes, and then all I'm gonna do is mash them. And the other thing I've done ahead of time, so just melted a little bit of butter in some milk. We're gonna add that into our potatoes. So we're gonna change to a whisk. We're just gonna mix it with a whisk. And then you just need to give it a little season with some sea salt. They can just go to one side just to cool down. Because we're gonna make a bechamel sauce. So this sauce is the base. The first thing we're gonna do is 50 grams of butter into a pan. Now the butter's melted, I'm gonna add in the flour. I'm gonna add in my milk mixture. And you wanna mix straight away till that thickens up. The next step is just to fry up our veggies that are going in with just a bit of onion and some carrots, just to add those nice little bits of flavour and texture they give. And again, we'll keep cooking this just till that carrot softens down as well. A little pinch of salt in here now. We can start adding all of these ingredients into our bechamel. So, parsley and lemon zest, a nice pinch of sea salt, a good crack of black pepper, a couple of handfuls of frozen peas, like 200 grams, and we're looking pretty good. You can now smell those onions. What we'll do, we'll put these straight into our pot. We're just going to quickly mix all these ingredients together. Now it's time for the star of our pie, the salmon. And all I'm going to do here is actually take the skin off. Let's cut them into bite-sized pieces to put into our pie. Just little bite-sized pieces like that. And that is your pie base made. Super creamy, loads of veg, loads of salmon in there. Our beautiful mashed potato, just a little sprinkle of salt on top to bring out a bit of that flavour. All right, so this guy is ready for the oven. 200 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes till the top is golden brown and crispy. That is, of course, my mashed potato topped salmon and pea pie. Now, not only is this guy absolutely delicious, he's a bargain. It's under 20 bucks for all these ingredients. So for a family of 4, you can feed your troops for less than $5 each. Guys, this is what's for dinner. Thank you for watching and happy eating.
Melbourne City Council is trying to block moves to open a drug injecting room near Queen Vic Market. Georgia Comensoli is tracking developments at the Town Hall. Georgia, some councillors are not happy.
Mitch, Deputy Lord Mayor Aaron Wood is taking a stand. He, along with many Melbourne residents, was stunned by the state government's controversial decision to choose Victoria Street, just a couple of hundred metres away from the Queen Victoria Market, for our second safe heroin injecting room. He tonight will put forward a motion at Melbourne City Council's meeting, and he wants the location scrapped. He's asking for a heroin and ice task force to be established in Victoria instead.
It's one of our most visited tourist attractions, but not only that, directly above the preferred location, you've actually got vulnerable residents in affordable housing. Many of those have actually put submissions in tonight, saying they're deeply concerned about the safe injecting facility being located on their doorstep.
Mr Wood says if, after more consideration, a second injection room is recommended, then he hopes the state government will consult with the City of Melbourne local residents and businesses before they decide on the location. Mitch?
Georgia Comensoli at the Town Hall, thank you. Qantas is gradually reviving many of the jet aircraft it was forced to mothball when coronavirus crushed the travel industry. It's the aviation equivalent of getting a car back on the road after long storage. But there's more to it than charging the battery and changing the oil.
Pulling the covers off after a long snooze.
Just pretty exciting to get it off the runway and wake it up. It's a good day.
This 737 was put to sleep back in March when COVID struck, taped up and protected against nesting birds and insects, sealed to keep out moisture, tyres bagged. They can become flattened like any car left sitting in a garage.
Okay, we just got to check the tyre pressures.
After resting idle for months, the cockpit and other electronics were brought to life, water systems flushed out. In all, 90 Qantas planes have been left sleeping, many on different runways. Not the only ones tucked up in bed.
16,000 aeroplanes around the world were stored all at once.
COVID reduced Qantas to just 5% of domestic flights. It's 15% now. The airline hopes 40% will be back in the air by July. And unwrapping the engines to make sure they haven't come out of their slumber in a bad mood with any faults. They'll be fully tested later this week. All going well, the 737 is expected to be carrying passengers again on Saturday, now that its extended kip is over. Chris Marr, 7 News.
Murdered Victorian greyhound trainer Karen Leake has been farewelled. The 69-year-old was remembered as someone with a big heart and a passion for dogs.
If someone was trying to make their way in greyhounds, she enjoyed helping them. Our industry is better for the careers she helped shape.
Her 25-year-old niece has been charged with her murder. There have been some tense clashes outside the White House in the US. Protesters tried to topple a statue of former President Andrew Jackson over his dealings with Native Americans. President Trump has called it disgraceful vandalism. Back home, footy cheer squads can be a rowdy bunch and aren't often known for their appreciation of classical music. But here's something from the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra that might change all that.
Classic tunes with a classical twist. Melbourne Symphony Orchestra's version of every AFL club song makes a cheer squad sound almost refined. Recorded over a day and a half, celebrating the return of footy.
Quite a few of them have opera background. I think it's the Geelong theme song is from Bizet's Carmen.
3 months of lockdown, the musos weren't rusty for Dusty. Carlton's version wouldn't be out of place at a Lygon Street restaurant. and to complete it, the siren replicated by instruments. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
I'll get the CD for Tim. Next, Captain Cook's memorial under challenge. One council is set to make a call on what happens to it. Details ahead. Also, the new alternative, a monthly membership and you get access to a pool of luxury cars. But does it stack up? Police unveil a new high-tech eye in the sky. And how your iPhone can now be used to unlock your car.
I'm going to do something I've never done before. Turn restaurants around in 24 hours.
New Ramsay's 24 Hours to Hell and Back. Tonight on 7.
Okay, long black for Dave, skinny latte for Dave, hot chockey for Dave, and cappuccino for David. Who's David?
From $1 each, shout the team at 7-Eleven.
Ready to step into your first home? Simmons have 72,000 reasons to do it now. With us, you'll get up to a massive $72,000 towards it, including the $35,000 available to qualifying first home buyers, plus up to $37,000 of upgrades for no extra cost. Only at Simmons.
Just tell us what you want.
No more confusing offers!
Okay.
Just low prices!
Okay.
And, energy with a clean conscience.
It's okay. Sure. Not a problem.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Take charge and switch to Tango Energy today.
Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer. Receive a $700 Harvey Norman gift card when you sign up to a new service on the Optus $65 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months with 80 gigabytes of data for use in Oz. Offer ends 30th of June. Or receive a $400 Harvey Norman gift card when you sign up to a new $35 per month Optus data plan for 24 months. Available until withdrawn. In-store only. Not available with any other offers. Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer.
The world needs more cooks, because with a hot pan and a little pack, a cook can tame the wild, feed the hungry, and transform nothing into everything. Where there are cooks, there is hope.
Don't let this deal be news to you. Lock in full digital access to the Herald Sun, plus 7-day paper home delivery for just $1 a day for the first 12 weeks. Search Herald Sun offer.
You're relying on our network more, so we're accelerating the rollout of Telstra 5G, giving more people and businesses access to fast download speeds in more places than ever.
Thursday, the Bulldogs need to keep winning, but can they keep it up against the Swans? Thursday night footy on 7.
A fierce debate is underway tonight on the future of the Captain Cook Monument in Fitzroy's Edinburgh Gardens. The City of Yarra is discussing whether to keep or remove the memorial, which was vandalised earlier this month. It's part of a global push to get rid of colonial-era landmarks. A newspaper delivery man has died after being run over by his own car. The 78-year-old was on his regular run in Geelong just after 4 o'clock this morning. Police believe he was partially outside the car when it accelerated and struck him. The man was taken to hospital but couldn't be saved. There's been an extraordinary moment on one of America's most popular racetracks as NASCAR drivers united against a despicable attack on one of their own. The sport's only black driver had a noose left in his garage.
All of NASCAR's drivers have rallied around Bubba Wallace.
On the track, where they're usually fierce competitors, today they were united. Drivers in a show of solidarity against racism.
And their crews. the entire garage area.
Supporting the only full-time African-American driver at NASCAR's highest level, Bubba Wallace, overcome with emotion, the day after one of his team members discovered a noose left hanging in his garage. He was defiant.
Sorry I'm not wearing my mask, but I wanted to show whoever it was that you're not going to take away my smile. And I'm going to keep on going.
He's been prominent fighting racism in the sport, branding his car with Black Lives Matter, wearing an I Can't Breathe t-shirt. He championed the banning of Confederate flags at NASCAR events.
It's been tough. It's been hell. Really, I wouldn't say hell. It's just been hectic.
Still, again today, the flag appeared outside the racetrack and even above it over the weekend.
I cannot believe the hate that someone can have in their heart.
The FBI now involved. Only essential personnel can access the garage where the noose was found. NASCAR says the culprit will be banned for life. In the United States, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Back home, a new fleet of high-tech police helicopters are about to take to the sky. Special cameras can zoom in on addresses or suspects' number plates during a chase.
It has advanced camera systems and it's able to stay on task for a long period of time.
They will also be used during bushfires to help guide water bombers at night. iPhone users will soon have a new look home screen after Apple launched its biggest software update yet. iOS 14 automatically groups apps and makes some bigger to give you more information. It'll allow picture-in-picture video, and there's also a translation app to detect languages. It can even become your car keys, unlocking your vehicle with a tap. Sport is next with Tim Watson. And Tim, there's another twist in Essendon's coronavirus controversy.
Yes, there is, Mitch. A test today has only raised more questions. We'll have the latest next. Plus, Bradley Hill back in purple as Dusty gets back to business. Also, how a coronavirus curveball could help the D's down the Cats. Tim Payne's solid defence of cricket's sacked CEO. And the partying joker continues to draw the ire of the tennis world.
It's not Lady Gaga. She's only 10.
We're far from the shallow now.
Unbelievable. Amazing is an understatement.
It didn't even seem humanly possible.
It was fantastic.
I want to see more.
So many awesome acts, we can't fit them all in. You can't miss new America's Got Talent. Wednesday, 7:30 on 7.
When the road calls, here's the very best way to answer. The BMW X3 S-Drive 20i from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Who could have known that the smallest changes could make the biggest impact? You did. And so did we. That's why Hills always starts with a pet's biology. So you're always a step ahead.
For over 30 years, Rest has been looking after hard-working Australians and their super. We're committed to helping protect your money, in good times and in bad. And we make sure our profits go straight back to you and not to shareholders. The world we live in is always changing, but our commitment to you never will.
Because sometimes it's more than just growing pains. Bupa offers an online program to help you manage your mental well-being. Bupa, because life happens. Call today.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award-winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
With delicious chicken chorizo pasta, mouth-watering mushroom risotto and slow-cooked lamb, dining in just got a whole lot easier. U-Food's new winter menu out now. Comfort food worth staying in for.
The streets are calling. Make sure you're ready to answer. The BMW 118i from 49,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Welcome back. Star bomber Conor McKenna was tested for COVID-19 again today. The result came back negative. Tom Brown has spoken with the club late this afternoon. Tom, this has raised plenty of questions.
It's a startling development, Tim. As you mentioned, the fourth COVID test, his latest test, has come back negative. On Friday, it was inconclusive, then declared low-level positive. On Saturday, again low-level positive, but pathologists couldn't say this. The sources told me they even investigated whether that was a low-level virus. There was a third COVID test that I understand might have been misplaced, but this latest one, the fourth, has come back negative. Now, the upshot is that McKenna will have another test on Wednesday and a test on Friday or Saturday. If they come back negative, he'll lobby to become out of isolation. It means he won't be able to play this weekend, but they're working on that situation. James Stewart, meantime, his manager, Peter Jessnight, contacting the AFL, arguing that he should now come out of isolation. This is the health department's primary position.
We don't have any indication at this point that it's a false positive. It's been the test has been undertaken a couple of times. So at this point in time, no, there's no indication that it's a false positive.
But that has changed in terms of the facts tonight. Meantime, AFLW, Gil McLachlan contacted the club, he spoke to the club presidents in a meeting and emphasised at this stage the AFL's got no plans to cut AFLW expenditure or costs next year. It will go ahead as planned in terms of the expenditure. And just finally, these pictures from 7 News cameras at Punt Road this morning. Dustin Martin recovering from those bruised ribs is good to go against St Kilda, as you can see, stepping up his preparation. But just back on McKenna, Tim, there's no precedent, I'm told, for a recovery from COVID in 48 hours. So in many instances, this is like a modern medical experiment, all these ongoing tests.
Thanks, Tom. WA Premier Mark McGowan is pushing for Perth's Optus Stadium to host the AFL Grand Final with a crowd if Victoria is unable to hold the decider at the MCG in front of fans.
If Victoria still has community spread, they can't have a grand final at the MCG. Clearly the next best place is Optus Stadium.
Western Australia says if the grand final teams meet quarantine arrangements, they could fly in play and play in front of 60,000 fans. Star recruit Bradley Hill admits the Saints simply weren't hard enough in their loss to Collingwood, but he's promising a much better showing against Richmond in Maddie's match this weekend. And the speedster jokes he won't be going anywhere near returning Tiger Dustin Martin.
Shoeless in the middle of winter, despite being allergic to low temperatures. The only thing that gives St Brad Hill cold feet is Dustin Martin.
I'll stay away from him. I don't want to get a donut.
Coming off a 5-goal loss to the Hawks, the Tigers have a point to prove. The Saints also desperate to atone for their 44-point Magpie mauling.
I thought last week just that pressure around the footy wasn't great and a bit fumbly, and that is a bit harder than us on the weekend.
With so many new recruits and very little time together training, Hill believes a lack of on-field connection is the root of the problem.
Obviously, we haven't played that much footy with each other as well, so we need to gel together a bit more and get that chemistry going. And that's got to take a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight.
The Saints have lost 4 of their past 5 games against the Tigers, but will be looking to bounce back in the 5th edition of Maddie's match.
And the former Docker is no stranger to purple.
This will be my 55th time wearing purple, so looking forward to it.
At Casey, despite Essendon's plight, the Demons continue to roll the dice, training their stars in the same midfield and defensive groups. But one positive test could spell havoc. And the D's don't feel hard done by, despite their round 3 clash against Essendon being postponed.
I don't necessarily feel disadvantaged. I think there's positives and negatives to the situation we'll face with. You could say we'll be pretty fresh coming into Saturdays.
Luke Beveridge is confident his Dogs can handle their 3rd game in just 12 days when they face the Swans in Sydney on Thursday night.
It's the tightest turnaround I think we've ever had.
And 18-year-old young pup Louis Butler will debut for the Dogs.
Yeah, I'll just make sure I give it everything I've got out there, so hopefully get the win.
Fantastic, mate.
Sean Sowerby, 7 News.
Collingwood will face a near full-strength GWS this Friday night with a trio of star giants returning from injury. Toby Green and Josh Kelly are certain starters as the Giants look to move on from the tactics that backfired against the Bulldogs.
It was something that happened on Friday night, and a few boys will pay their fines and move on.
Lachie Whitfield trained today with the defender expected to overcome concussion. Aussie Test captain Tim Payne denies a poor relationship with the players played a part in the departure of former CEO Kevin Roberts. Roberts was shown the door last week as Cricket Australia deals with a financial crisis.
One of the reasons I did want to ring him is because it was reported a few times that he had a poor relationship with the players, and he certainly didn't. Kevin was well liked and well respected amongst our playing group.
Australia's next test is against Afghanistan in Perth in November. Aussie tennis ace Nick Kyrgios has hit out at Novak Djokovic, labelling the world #1 and his team boneheaded for running their series of tournaments in the Balkans. Vision has emerged of Djokovic and a number of tennis stars partying with a total lack of social distancing. 7 people, including Grigor Dimitrov, have now tested positive to COVID-19. Djokovic is expected to announce his test result to Serbian media later tonight. Who would have thought that Nick would become the voice of reason?
Not me.
It's a strange time, isn't it?
It is indeed, Tim. Certainly is. Thank you. Buying a car usually involves a lump sum of cash, but there's a new alternative to driving a luxury car at a fraction of the cost. It's a car subscription, giving you access to a vehicle at any hour of the day, just like a streaming service.
Car shopping without the commitment. When coronavirus cost Zoe Benham her job, she sold up but needed to stay mobile.
I kind of was like, well, what is the best way for me to still be able to get around when I need to, but also save a little bit of extra cash?
April's new car sales were down almost 50% on last year. Subscription services now offering a new set of wheels at low cost.
It's like a mobile phone plan, so you choose what best suits you in terms of how long you want to keep the car and how much you drive.
The service offers 3 plans. The cheapest is $119, but you have to sign up for at least 120 days. The minimum terms are shorter on more expensive plans and you're spared the upfront fee. Those plans also enable you to swap the car free of charge every 3 months.
Maybe have a SUV for when they go away on holiday and something more compact during normal work times.
The obvious benefits here are not having to ever pay registration again, not having to ever have a recurring insurance bill.
I worked it out per month, I'd be saving about $300 to $400 in the long term as well.
Popular car sharing platform GoGet is slightly cheaper, but as the name suggests, you have to share.
You're limited to the car that's available on the street in front of your house or wherever it is around the corner.
Despite COVID fueling demands for borrowing over buying, the advice is crunch the numbers first to make sure it's the best fit.
It may look good on the surface, but it's something that you need to check your circumstances for.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Jane is next with the forecast, and Jane, we're expecting more fog tonight.
Mitch, most of us could wake up to pea soup, but there's a bit of sunshine to follow. Those details are next.
Hello, tonight on the latest from 7 News, I'm joined by Australia's most senior World Health Advisor, who says we should close off infected areas of Victoria now, and her warning for the other states. Plus a Hollywood murder mystery, new claims a famous young actress' death was deliberate. We speak with the doctor at the centre of that investigation. Those stories and every breaking development, of course, tonight, the latest from 7 News.
I know, Dad. I know you're sick.
If you knew any moment could be the last with your dad, what would you say?
We've still got time. We don't. I'm not ready.
You can keep fighting it, or you can make the most of the time you've got left.
I love you, son.
Home and Away, this week at 7 on 7.
When the road calls, here's the very best way to answer. The BMW X3 S-Drive 20i from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
The Snooze End of Financial Year sale is now on. Support your local business and save up to 50% off Australian-made mattresses. Plus, enjoy great savings on customisable Australian-made bedroom furniture. Hurry, sale ends soon.
What a little snooze can do.
Dad, what's up with your arm?
This
It's my epic reminder so I don't forget about Aldi's special buys.
Is that your elbow?
Don't touch it.
Tie yourself an epic reminder for this Wednesday and get a DeLonghi coffee machine for $149, an air fryer oven for $149, and a stainless steel pasta machine for $19.99. Only at Aldi. Good. Different.
You should expect more from your super. With Vic Super, you get more. One of Australia's top profit-to-member funds, our award-winning member service, plus competitive fees and solid returns, help you get more of the future you want.
Hi, Peter. What can I get you?
Just some beef mince, please.
Just some beef mince. Tell me, was Bradman just a cricketer, Peter?
Don Bradman was a great...
I hear, Bill.
Did Kate just do a spot of telly?
And I suppose your mum Denise makes just a bolognese.
Peter, Mum. OK. I'll have some beef mince, please.
Great choice. Because...
Our beef's the greatest meat on earth.
Not all of us are built for dance challenges. That's why GMHBA members with extras cover can now access telehealth physiotherapy from the team at Kiza with no out-of-pocket expenses. Stay healthier at home with GMHBA.
Why can't I get online? Because it's no screen Sunday, remember?
Dad?
Set time usage limits with the McAfee Safe Family app.
Gone.
Included in the new Optus Family Plan.
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy their choice of delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of their own home. Especially those at a greater health risk during these times. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having Light and Easy meals delivered safely with our contactless delivery service, visit lightandeasy.com.au or call us on 13 15 12.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from 69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
This weather report brought to you by the BMW 3 Series.
Hello again. The city and many suburbs had long sunny breaks today, making it feel quite nice. That let the temperature rise. We reached a top of 14, and that is right on the June average. Then all this cloud rebuilt at sunset. Some eastern suburbs weren't so lucky. They were covered in fog, then cloud for much of the day. The showers passing through much lighter and more isolated than yesterday. And if you are wondering, this here is what the weather station looks like up in Viewbank. There are bands of cloud covering parts of the state, but in between are large areas of sunshine. Most of the showers cleared out this morning. There's only isolated activity left, but not in Gippsland. Their next burst of wet weather, there it is. It arrived mid-afternoon, and that increases tonight. A complex area of low pressure is still controlling our weather, with one last push from one of the low centres that is off Gippsland. But that low dissipates tomorrow morning and a ridge of high pressure comes in instead. That'll make the next cold front, this one in here, slide away to the south. So it's wet in Gippsland tonight into tomorrow morning. Showers tending to areas of persistent rain. Expect 5 to 30 millimetres by the time it eases tomorrow afternoon. The next front weakens as it slides through on Thursday. The southwest up into the northeast, that's the spots that see the showers, and there aren't many of them, just a millimetre or two. That dries up during the day on Friday. Then a strong high comes in and sits right over us, so the weekend actually quite sunny. Cold nights and sunny days for a few in a row. Around the nation tomorrow, Brisbane and Sydney generally sunny. Adelaide could have a foggy start, then showers there. Perth, a stormy night tonight, but it dries up in the morning. Now Hobart, the rain just keeps on coming, finally easing later tomorrow. Mount Wellington, right near the city there, has had more than 250 millimetres. That's 3 months' rain in just 3 days. To Victoria, the air is moist, so we're likely to see widespread morning fog tomorrow. That white you can see there. Showery over Gippsland, slowly easing, local showers elsewhere. The foggy cloud could linger well into the afternoon in amongst areas of sunshine. Closer in, and that fog is likely in most suburbs tomorrow morning. It clears out to low grey cloud, but there should be patches of sunshine in there, while the odd shower does continue in the east. The city could wake to foggy low cloud, but there should be lots of sunny breaks in the afternoon, so 16 should feel quite nice. To the 8-day outlook, Thursday, top of 17, but a burst of showers mainly in the afternoon, so that leaves us with 14 on Friday. Here's our clear weekend, but it is cold with a cold pool of air overhead and frosty nights. Chance of a late shower next Tuesday. Widespread fog at first tomorrow, clears to a mix of sun and cloud. 16, not too bad, Mitch.
Not too bad at all. Thank you very much, Jane. And finally tonight, Barcelona's Opera House has reopened its doors with an exclusive concert for an audience of pot plants. The bizarre event saw Spanish musicians play opera classics to 2,000 leafy spectators. The concert was streamed online and the plants donated to frontline health workers. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 23rd of June. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.